Hello, my name's Tracy Goodman and I'm here with Janet Precious. Thank you for joining us today, Janet, as part of our Shared Stories series. I'm a patient coordinator for the charity, and Janet's very kindly offered to share her AF journey with us today. So Janet lives in Reading, so she is not very far away from us here, and she's very kindly going to answer a few questions for us today. So, Janet, when were you diagnosed with AF?
In 1996.
Okay, and how did you find out about your diagnosis? What
I was walking around the supermarket one day and I suddenly felt my heart started to bump. And I thought, oh God, this isn't right.
Okay.
And went home and didn't think anything about it. And then later on it did it again. So I called my GP and got an appointment, went to see him, and he did a trace, and I was back in sinus rhythm. But he said to me, the next time it happens to you, I want you to call us, even if it's in the middle of the night. And I think it was just the next night I woke up about 6 in the morning and it was doing it. And I thought, oh, I can't ask him at 6 o'clock in the morning, but he did say, do it even if it's in the night. So I called him out and he came and asked me to take an aspirin and he listened to it. And from there on, I was, asked to go and see a consultant. So.
And that was at the point that they diagnosed you with AF, is that correct?
Yeah. When I saw the consultant, which was at the Royal Berkshire, well, it was at Battle Hospital in those days, actually. And I said to him, a lot of my friends have said, because I was like 55 at the time, and I said a lot of my friends said to me, oh, we all get palpitations at our age. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and he said, they're not like your palpitations, though.
Okay. Did you get any sort of dizziness or experience any other sort of symptoms that might be useful for other people to look out for?
I used to feel, when it was happening, I would feel quite poorly, to be honest. It's a bit scary at the beginning. About 2 years after it had started, and they tried me on various drugs, which didn't seem to really help at all. Okay. And about 2 years later, and I had an appointment with him, and he said to me, how have you been feeling? And I said, well, actually, I feel fine. And he said, I think you've gone into permanent AF. Okay. And because of that, you won't be feeling it. So okay. That's how it's been since.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Janet. So how has the diagnosis changed your life, or has it affected your life in any way?
It did at the beginning, because they put me straight onto warfarin, which I'm not on anymore because I'm on Rivaroxaban. So I was very careful with what I ate, and I did notice that when I was hungry, it often used to happen. And also I decided to only ever have one drink from then on, if an alcoholic drink. And I stopped drinking tea or coffee because that really made a difference. Mm-hmm. And since that day, I've drunk Red Bush tea, which is non-caffeinated. So that's all it changed my life, really. Okay. I carried on exercising and whatnot. So.
Oh, that's good, because lots of people talk about the fact that they can identify their triggers, and so they know if they eat certain foods, for instance, they know that may trigger a so that's very useful information that you've shared. Yeah. Thank you. What treatment options did you choose?
Well, going back in those days, I don't think there was this shocking of the heart available. because I've never ever been offered that. But they put me on digoxin immediately.
And that's medication.
Yes, which made an enormous difference to me. I felt a lot better after I'd, started to take that. So digoxin and the warfarin seemed to solve it at that time.
So you could.
Sorry. Yeah.
So you control everything with medication, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not on that medication anymore because I had to have a higher dose of digoxin all the time, and I started getting very rapid heartbeats coming through. This is years and years later. This is more recently, actually. And they decided that I was on too high a dose of digoxin. And a heart specialist then put me on to Ramipril and something beginning with V. Oh, can't think of it. It'll come to me. Can't think of it at the moment. But I still take a tiny dose of digoxin. I still take a tiny dose of that.
Okay. So have you changed any lifestyle things? Have you sort of turned things around? Do you exercise more, or would you say that anything's changed in that respect?
I don't think anything changed in my life at all. He told me, I said to him, could I still do sport? And he said, anything but squash. And I thought, well, that's good because I don't do squash anyway. The only exercise I do really is Pilates and walking.
Okay.
So I do both of those still.
So you've lived with AF for some years now, well, 25 years nearly.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to anybody that's had a recent diagnosis?
Well, I would say, from my point of view, don't worry about it. Right at the beginning, I read up about it and thought, oh God, it means blood clots and you might have a stroke and all this sort of thing. But because I felt okay and I carried on my life in a normal way, I really don't think it affected my life very much at all.
That's really reassuring news, actually. Very good for anybody to listen to and take that advice. So that's good. How has the AF Association helped you?
I regularly get emails from them. I went to, about 2 or 3 years ago, I went to a lunch and a seminar in London at the Google headquarters, where there were lots of different doctors there talking about AF. There was about 22 people. And I found that really informative. It really helped me a lot to listen to other people's stories and to hear the experts talking. One of them said, who had never had the ablation, is it called, an ablation done? And I said, well, I haven't. And he said, have you ever been offered it? And I said, no. And he said, how long have you had it? And I said, well, over 20 years. And he said, that's why you've never been offered it, because it doesn't work so well on people that's in permanent AF, that's had it for a long, long time. So.
Okay. Have you found any challenges of living with AF at all?
As I say, I don't drink caffeine. I'm really careful. I still eat a couple of pieces of chocolate every evening, which has got caffeine in. That's my little treat. I don't drink more than 1 glass of wine at a time either, which did seem to affect it in the beginning.
Okay.
But apart from that, I don't think there's been any changes.
Well, Janet, you've certainly provided us with lots of information there, which will certainly help towards other people's experiences and recent diagnosis. So I'd like to say thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Okay, it's a pleasure.
Information there, certainly about not worrying about it. Follow your professional medical people in their advice, and look after yourself. So I'd just like to say thank you very much, and we wish you well. Okay, and
Thank you.
keep us informed of your journey.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Janet. Lovely
Nice
to
to have
meet
met you.
you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.